Forget Rome, forget Florence. If you want an Italian summer which is different, cooler, and if you want to go to an area which, in my opinion, is underrated, then you need to go to Trentino Alto Adige. So what exactly is so fantastic about this area? Well, I've traveled extensively in Italy, and in my opinion, this is one of the most unique regions that you're going to find here. Do make sure that you watch this video in its entirety, and at the end, I'm going to give you my best tips on how you can enjoy this area the best. Without a doubt, I think its most distinguishing feature is that you have a heavy Germanic influence in this region, and rightly so, because this area was a part of Austria until the end of World War I. It also has a nice blend of Italian and German cuisine, which I personally like a lot, but I'll get more into that later in the video. My daughter says, "Ma io non sono una ciambella." She says, "I'm not a donut." So, where exactly are some of the best places to go in Trentino? Well, this past trip we went to Bolzano, Brunico, San Candido, Ortisei, and Lago di Brais. Not in Trentino Alto Adige and not even in Italy, but we decided to hop over the border and we went to Innsbruck in Austria. Okay, so what exactly is the best way to get there? And then once you're there, how do you get around? So if you're coming from Rome, then the best thing to do is what we did. Generally, we use the train to go up to Trentino. And then from Bolzano, we rented a car to go around the area. Now, granted, there are buses and trains that you can use to get around Trentino Alto Adige. More buses than trains, I must say. So you could use that as an option. However, in my opinion, if you really want to see these small towns and if you want to get around and see more in less time, then I think renting a car is the way to go. Also, if it rains, and it did, then you'll thank yourself for having rented the car. Before we continue, I just want to thank Discover Cars for sponsoring today's video. This was my third time using them. European 3. And actually, it went just fine. Honestly, renting with them was a simple, seamless process, and customer service is very friendly and very helpful. Why do I like them? Well, their website is pretty much the same thing as Booking and Kayak. They show you all the best options at the best prices. And then something I like in particular is that on the side, you have different filter options. There's even an option if you want a car seat. You can also choose to prepay in advance. You can choose the customer rating. You can go 9 and above if you want, so it does give you the options to find the best rental car. One last note on discovercars.com, do make sure that you get the full insurance options. Believe me, it's good peace of mind. Super important, when you go to the airport, when you go to the car rental company, make sure that you make them aware that you have the prepaid option, the full coverage option with discovercars.com, because if you don't, then they're going to want to offer you their insurance options. So at the airport in Bolzano, there was a little bit of confusion. They didn't know this, and we almost paid 300 euros for insurance that we already had anyway. Link in the description below if you would like to do a rental car with discovercars.com. And also, after your rental is over, leave me a comment and let me know how it goes. I'd like to know. Thank you. Now, despite what I said at the beginning of the video to forget Rome, forget Florence, personally, here's what I would do. If I was coming to Italy for the first time and I had 2 weeks to spare, I think what I might do is to see all these art cities. Come here to Rome, Florence, Venice, etc., etc. Even Naples, don't forget that one too. But then maybe in the final week, I think I would do that. I would go up to Trentino because this way you can spend the rest of your vacation relaxing in fresh air, the mountains. Also, if you like to do hiking, if you like to do excursions of that type, then this is a very good area for doing that. No trash, no graffiti. Butterflies, that means clean air. Oh yes, we're in the mountains. There's snow up there. There's also skiing, which I don't do. But there's also hockey. As a matter of fact, I bought this shirt my first time in Trentino. I was shocked to see a hockey shop. But there is a hockey influence up there. I'm not suggesting that you're going to play hockey on your vacation in Italy, especially your first time here. But it does represent the difference in culture that you're going to see up there as compared to the rest of the country. Oh yes, now let's talk about the food that's up there. Yeah, it was good. Now, you can find pizza and pasta up there. As a matter of fact, my daughter is a pastaholic, and the restaurants were able to make her a simple pasta with oil and Parmesan cheese. Yes. However, this is a Germanic area, like I said, and you can expect to find a lot of meats up there. So a lot of sausages, hot dogs, stuff like that. Oh yes, let's not forget speck. Other favorites in particular was goulash. They also made nice soups. There was schnitzel, which, as you can hear from the name, is more Germanic influence. And then one of my personal favorites was the apple strudel. That was delicious. They also have a very good selection of wines and both local and Germanic and Austrian beers. There are also plenty of different types of mountain cheeses. Yes. When is the best time of year to go to Trentino? Well, I've been there 4 times. 3 out of the 4 times was actually during this time period. We were just there last week. We did get a bit of rain, yes, and that's to be expected. And then once we also went there in August, and honestly, it was really hot. It was pretty much the same as Rome. Maybe a little bit cooler, but yeah, it was hot.
One of my favorite places to see in Italy is Sud Tirol.
Also, I believe Trentino is famous for its Christmas markets. I don't know how the weather is up there, but because it's further up north, I think you can expect to see some snow. And from somebody who grew up in New England, I would not want to drive in snow. So if you do head up there at Christmas time, then you might want to double think about renting a car. In other words, don't. Can you speak English up there? I would say yes. Don't expect everybody to know it, but from our experiences, especially in restaurants and hotels, English was spoken enough there. However, a lot of people seem to prefer German, so if you have a bit of experience in that language, this will certainly help you there, sure. Okay, now let's talk about some of the highlights from my trip. So for this trip, we went to Bolzano, and I think what I appreciated about that was that you had a clear blend of both Italian and Germanic cultures. I also found it very clean, the public transportation was punctual, and also it was a kid-friendly place. As a matter of fact, we went to a museum and they had an Easter egg hunt, which my daughter enjoyed. Bolzano is not very big, so you can arguably see it in 1 or 2 days. And if you have some extra time, then I recommend taking the cable car, which is a cool experience in and of itself. Take that up to Sopra Bolzano, and then from there you can take a train and see some of the local towns. From Bolzano, we took the car and we went to Brunico. That was a quaint little town, I liked it. Some of the highlights is that it's just calm, clean, quiet. Also, there's a nice castle that you can go and see. And inside the castle, they have a mountain exhibit. They have various displays of art, tents, and stuff of the like from different mountain cultures throughout the world. We took the train from Bolzano to Innsbruck, and I really recommend that actually. I got the impression that this is less touristy than Salzburg and also Vienna. And so it was really nice. I appreciated it. There was plenty to do there. We also took the cable car up to the mountain, which personally was my favorite. I just loved going up there. It was much colder. My daughter saw snow for the first time, and it was just really, really peaceful. I enjoyed it a lot. Probably one of my absolute favorite experiences on this trip was seeing the Lago di Brais, Lake Bryce.
So I've just seen the Lago di Brais, the Bryce Lake. It was awesome. It really was. The only problem, as you can see, is that the weather was not so great. However, I think you can enjoy this place even if it's cloudy like today. So it's also better if you come here just before the summer, because with less people, it's much better. I hate crowds.
Just spectacular. You are immersed in the mountains. The water was so clean, as you can see in this picture, that there was just a clear reflection. And so it was great. There are buses that go up to that lake, yes. However, for me, half of the experience was actually driving there, because as you're going there, you pass by just the most scenic roads and landscapes that you're going to find in the area. And so for me, it was totally worth it. Also, when you have young children, especially mine who's under 5 years old, I think you want to make them as comfortable as possible. And so I think having the car really made the difference for her. Lastly, we went to San Candido and Ortisei. And these 2 places really had just a nice little village feel to it. It was really nice. And I remember in San Candido, there was a dinosaur museum. So like I said before, I find this area to be very kid-friendly. Practical tips for Trentino Alto Adige. Let's start with the restaurants. So if you have your favorite app, for example, we use The Fork and TripAdvisor, use them, sure. But I think it's actually better if you call these places before you go. Why? Well, here's what happened. We found a place on Google which looked great. We arrived there and they were closed for the Easter holidays. So I was standing there in the rain trying to see if the place was open. No go. Call them first. If you are in a situation where you need to find a restaurant quickly, like we did, after we found that restaurant that was closed, we did just that. We passed by this little hotel on the way to the lake. It looked good on the outside and it was good on the inside as far as the food, the atmosphere, and the service was concerned. So I think we might stay there in the future. The bottom line is this: food for me in that area, it just really didn't disappoint that much, if at all, really. This next one is super important. Do everything as early as possible. What do I mean? Well, if you want to go to a museum, if you want to see places, make sure that you do it before 5 p.m. On more than one occasion, we found that things just close after 5 p.m., especially in this part of Italy. So if you have anything to do, plan it early. The drivers in that area, way less pushy. I think so.
This is the road to San Candido. We've never been there before, but it looks really nice, so we're going to go there and explore and see what's up.
Funny story with my daughters. So I don't remember exactly where this happened. However, my daughter was looking for a donut. That's something that she likes, one of her guilty pleasures. And so the word for that in Italian is ciambella, okay? So I forget where we were, but the waiter comes up to us and says, "Ciao, bella." My daughter says, "Ma io non sono una ciambella." She says, "I'm not a donut." And we explained to her the difference between ciao bella and ciambella. By any chance, have you been to this area of Italy, or even Innsbruck? Leave me a comment below and tell us all about it. Once again, if you are interested in renting a car with discovercars.com, go to the description below in this video, click on the link, and that will take you to their page. As always, grazie mille per l'attenzione. Ci vediamo alla prossima. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Have fun in Trentino, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao.